Hi everyone, and welcome to the Friday Live Lunch and Learn here in the Kick Glass Career Women's Facebook group. I'm really happy to be talking to you today. We are doing another part to the Update Your Resume Month series. September is Update Your Resume Month in the career professional world, and in honor, I guess, of Update Your Resume Month, I'm doing a 4-part series here in the group. Every Friday, I'm going to tackle a different section of your resume. So in the previous weeks, we have talked about the top section of your resume, right? The contact information, your headline, and your summary section. Last week, we tackled key skills, that section, and why that is one of my favorite sections, and probably the section where you can sort of get the most bang for your buck in your resume. So if you haven't seen those two live training sessions, I encourage you go look at them. There's tons of useful information in there, especially if you haven't updated your resume in a while. September is a great time to sort of start fresh. I like to think of September as New Year's 2.0. It's like a second chance to get another new year, right? So let's polish off 2018 strong, have your resume ready to go for any opportunity that might come up. And today we're talking about the experience section. So again, if it's been a while since you've taken a look at your resume, if it's a little dusty, a little moldy, I want you to dust it off and we're going to update that experience section. And I want you to give me 1 second. My video seems to be flickering, and I'm going to just see if I can adjust it because I think it's a little bit of a lighting issue here. Hang on. Sorry. My hand in the way. Okay. Let's see if that's any better. Maybe. I'm a little crooked, but that might be better. Okay. So, your experience section. So, aside from just adding jobs that you have yet to put on your resume, there's a few other things that I want you to take a look at when you're reviewing your experience section. So, and by experience section, I just mean your work history, right? Your career history. So this is the section where you list the companies you worked for and you list the job titles, and then you have content for each of those jobs, right? I've actually been seeing a few resumes this week where there isn't any content underneath the jobs. Usually I find that people, let me turn my sounds off here. Usually I find that people go one or two ways with the experience section. Either they put way too much information in their experience section and it's like information overload for whoever is reading it, and it gets exhaustive, right? They go into great detail about every one of their job responsibilities, all of their duties, everything that they do on a day-to-day basis. They basically copy and paste like their official job description and put it into the resume. That's too much, and that's not what you're meant to do. Okay? If that's what you're doing, if you're basically copying and pasting from your official job description, you're doing it wrong. Or I see people go the exact opposite way and not include enough information. And like I said, this week I reviewed a couple resumes where there was nothing. They just had the company name, the position, and the years that they worked there. And that was it. So those two approaches, neither one of those is good. Neither one of those is going to get you the desired result, which is, your resume should be a compelling marketing document. It's meant to showcase what you have to offer. It's meant to demonstrate your value. It's meant to advance your career, hopefully, or help you land a job or an interview for the job that you really want. If you are boring people to death with way too much detail, or if you're not giving them any information whatsoever about what you've done, neither one of those strategies is going to get you very far. Okay? Ideally, we want to come in somewhere in between. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to show you where that middle ground is that really demonstrates your value and the strengths and the expertise that you have to offer in a new job. So, what do you put there? Well, I'm okay if you want to outline what you're responsible for. Um, some people say omit that altogether, just go straight to accomplishments. But I'm okay if you want to provide some context. Maybe like a couple lines, 2, 3, 4 lines if you're a senior executive. A short little paragraph just to give the reader a little bit of context. And the reason that I'm okay with this and actually recommend this in some cases is because your job title sometimes is not descriptive enough. It doesn't provide quite enough information. And job description or job position titles vary from place to place and from company to company. So at company A, it might mean one thing. At company B, it might mean another thing. And then you're applying to company C, where it might mean something altogether different. So it's okay if you want to briefly put in like what you're responsible for. What is the overview? What do you oversee? What do you manage? What are you primarily hired? What were you primarily hired to do there? So I wouldn't use bullet points for this information. I want you to save your bullets for your accomplishments. And that's what I want to talk to you about. When you're looking for accomplishments for your position, your accomplishments are not job duties. It's not just what you do day in, day out. Okay? Your accomplishments are the things that you do that provide value. They're the things that you do that have a positive impact on the company, on the department, on your team, on the customer, on the overall service that you provide. It's anything that you do that provides or delivers a positive impact. That doesn't need to be grand. It doesn't need to be super huge. And a lot of time I find people get hung up on the word accomplishment and think it means award. It doesn't necessarily mean that you won an award for it or some major distinction or that you were recognized by the president of the company. Although if you were, and if you have any of that put that in there too. But that's not necessarily what I mean when I say accomplishment. It's anything that you did that had a positive impact. It's anything that you did to make things run better, run smoother, run faster, run more cost effective. It's anything that you did to heighten the experience of your customers, heighten the effectiveness of your team, anything at all like that. And you might really need to take some time to think about this and reflect about this. But when you put that on a resume and you save your bullets for these moments, for these accomplishments, it's going to have incredible power on your resume. When somebody's reading that and they see she did this, and she did this, and all of that helped her company, helped her team, or helped her department, they're going to picture what that impact is going to be like at their company. They're going to think about you in the role that you're applying for and think, wow, wouldn't it be great if she could do that for us? And that's what's going to get you the interview. That's what you want people thinking, right? Another thing I want you to think about when you're thinking about accomplishments are numbers. It is incredible how powerful putting a number on your resume can be. And I know this can be hard. A lot of people say, my job's not measurable. There are no quantifiable accomplishments for my role. So I found a really great resource, and I'm going to share the link of this in the comments below when I finish here. That gives some really great examples of how you can include numbers in your resume. Really great sort of idea sparks for you to look through and think about, oh, well, that I can measure. Or, oh, yes, I've done that, so I can add that number into my resume. One of the reasons numbers make such an impact on your resume is because your resume is almost all words. So anytime a number shows up, it causes whoever is reading your resume to slow down or stop and really read it. It also provides context and can show just how significant your impact was. So if you, and this is the easiest one, right? The salespeople have it the easiest when it comes to accomplishments, I think. But so if you were to say, like, I increased sales, that's great. But if you said, I increased sales 20% year over year, that's amazing. So anytime you can attach a number, it just gives your accomplishment more weight. It gives it more credibility because it was measurable. You're not just saying that. You actually know. You actually know, well, I increased sales by this much, so I know I increased sales, right? Sometimes when you're reading a resume, you feel like, well, anyone can say that they increased sales, or anyone can say that they elevated customer satisfaction scores. Anyone can say that. But if you have the numbers, if it was actually measured at your company and you put that in there, it's like proof, it's evidence that yes, you directly contributed or directly impacted positive sales growth or positive customer satisfaction gains. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of these examples from this website that I found that are really quite good. As someone who writes resumes all the time, this sort of comes naturally to me when I'm in a conversation with someone or when I'm conducting a consultation, just based on their role. I've been around enough now that I know, based on their role, where those measurable accomplishments are that they may not be thinking about. And I can just sort of naturally ask them about them. But if you're struggling and you're doing this on your own, here are some great examples of where you can find some numbers for your resume. And not just for your current role, if you're updating your resume, for your past ones too. So go back and look at some of your past experience and see if you can throw some numbers in there. All right, here are the examples. New clients acquired, sales revenue, it's an obvious one, cost reductions or cost savings, put a number to those. Those are really great. Social media, increase in page views, increase in followers, increase in social media engagement. That stuff is measured all the time. So if you are in any way part of the social media marketing campaign or strategy or execution of those strategies, find out what those numbers are. Those are important. Increase in profits. Level of donations, if you're in a not-for-profit sector. Number of cases closed. So this one is good for, sometimes in the law profession, they say, well, we're not really quantifiable. Or in insurance, how many cases, how many claims, insurance claims have you processed or administered or completed? Client retention, that's an important one. A lot of companies find client retention numbers more important than client acquisition numbers, right? It's better if you can retain customers than have to constantly cycle through and get new ones. Customer ratings and satisfactions, we already talked about. Number of complaints resolved. So maybe if you are in a very customer service heavy industry or contact center or technical support or some sort of role like that, how many of those tickets are you closing? What's the volume of those that you're closing? Billable hours for consultants, number of safety violations or flawless audits, right? So those are great for environmental services, maintenance, healthcare, audits for accountants, reduction in overtime costs, retention of employees, that's a great one, employee engagement, employee satisfaction. How many employees are you promoting or developing from within and holding on to? Are you retaining top talent or do they come and they leave? That's a really great one to highlight. Loss prevention reduction. Test scores by students. That's one for teachers, obviously. And response time, which could be any industry. Response time, any timeline stuff at all, actually, is a really great one. Like project managers, manufacturing, downtime is another one for tech or manufacturing, keeping equipment up and running, very important. So there are all kinds of ways that you can inject numbers into your resume. A couple that aren't here that I want to add. Budget. If you manage a budget, how much is it? There's a big difference between someone who manages a $20,000 budget and someone who manages a $20 million budget. You want to make sure that's included so that the scope and the context of your role is there. Also, how many direct reports do you have? How many people report to you? Do you have a team of 20 or do you have a team of 3 senior staff? All of that provides valuable information to whoever is reviewing your resume. And that is it. That's all I wanted to talk to you about today with your experience section. So go look at your resume, look at your experience section. If there are jobs missing, add them. And then I want you to really go through your resume and make sure you're reserving bullets for accomplishments only. If you're just providing, sorry about that, little break. Go through, make sure you're reserving bullets for just the accomplishments. If you are providing just an overview of your role, make that a little short paragraph before the bullets, just like 2-3 lines, maybe 4, no more than 4. I don't care if you're the CEO of a company, no more than 4. Just keep it a brief little paragraph, and then you save the bullets for the accomplishments so that they stand out. A good rule of thumb for accomplishments, 3 to 6 per role. The further down in your career history you go, the fewer you need. But that's where I would try and come up with 3 for each. And again, your accomplishment is anything that you've done that provided impact, positive impact on your company, on your department, on your team, on the customers, on the employees, anything like that. And if you can, put a number there. The number is going to be so much more powerful than words alone. And coming from a writer saying that's that means something. Numbers provide a lot of power and a lot of impact on your resume. So make sure you are injecting your resume with numbers whenever you can. All right, that is it for today's live Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you back here next week, 12 p.m. Eastern, for another live Lunch and Learn, and we are going to tackle everything else on the resume. So that means the education section we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about community involvement, awards, extracurricular, all of that stuff that people don't know where it should go on your resume. That's what we're going to tackle next week. All right, have a lovely weekend. I don't know where you are, but here in Halifax, fall has arrived, I think. It's gotten a little bit cooler. I had a softball game last night. I was wearing a sweater the whole game. It's the temperature has taken a dip, but it's still gorgeous here. It's still gorgeous outside. But yes, have a great weekend. Have a relaxing, safe, restorative weekend, and then get ready to kick some glass on Monday. I'll see you next week. Bye.